I'd like to call this meeting of the Planning Board to order. Everyone will please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing afterwards. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to just have a moment of silence. We lost one of ours this week, Darlene Keeley. She was the clerk for the Planning Board and Zoning Board. So if you could just bow your heads just a moment of silence, please. Thank you. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes, April 4th and April 18th. We do not have those minutes before us, so we'll postpone those to a future meeting. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is a public hearing for Healy Ford, 12-1-8.11, an application for a site plan for site modifications associated with a customer drive-through drop-off at existing automobile dealership on 5.2 plus or minus acres on Route 17M and 6.5 Station Road in the HC zone, AQ6 floodplain and ponding overlay districts. Do we have anyone from the public here for this public hearing? Not yet. Okay. If you could just give us a brief presentation then for the board and our consultants.
Sure.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Sure. Justin Bates, Colliers Engineering and Design for the applicant. They are proposing a drop-off drive-through addition to the existing Healy Ford dealership. It's on the east side of the building, a little over 3,600 square feet. We're adjusting some parking, things around that to facilitate the placement of the addition. Meet all the zoning requirements for the HC zone with exception to the side yard setback on that east side. And have been before the ZBA, but we'll need to just go back once the planning board adopts the negative declaration so that we can get that approval for the variance of the side yard setback. That's it.
Thank you. Before I open it up as a public hearing to the public, we'll hear from our board members. Sean, do you have anything to add at this point on this application?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Would you like me to speak before the board or after?
Before.
Sure. So just some housekeeping matters. So this was last before you during your April 18th meeting. At that time, you assumed lead agency status, adopted the AFR 2. You scheduled a public hearing for this evening, and you actually authorized a negative declaration. So as the applicant indicated, they need that negative declaration to return back to the ZBA for action on their area variance for side yard setback. Otherwise, there's been no new application material submitted, so I have no new comments for the board unless there's any questions.
Okay. I'll open it up to the board.
3 questions. The issue of the mechanicals on the roof being visible from the roadway, any public roadway. In my read of the materials, I didn't get a clear answer to that. Will they be visible or not?
No, and I think that was one of the more recent comments from Mr. Hoffman, but the architect did look at that, and the front facade or kind of like parapet on the addition, any mechanicals up there would screen that.
Okay. Snow clearing.
Yep.
There was a concern raised about there being sufficient, there being locations where snow would be
Yep.
stored that would not impede internal circulation.
Yeah, so I did speak, we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting, spoke to the applicant. They actually removed snow from the site, so, but we will show on the updated plan to respond to that comment, we'll show some locations and where snow storage could be placed. But they don't let it accumulate very much before they haul it off.
So listen, you'll be showing it on a further updated plan?
Well, yeah, as we, Sean mentioned his last memo, we have a couple cleanup items on there. But
Okay.
one of them would be to show that on the plan.
Okay. The electrical service to your the neighboring property, I saw some correspondence.
Yep.
I think we need some assurance that there won't be any interruption in service to them.
Yeah, I mean, that letter, or the email, the correspondence that we got from O&R, I thought was pretty clear in
They're
stating.
gonna work out a plan.
What's that?
They're gonna work out a plan. It wasn't,
Okay, well, so it would have to stay, you know, the service would be in place for this facility and would not be disconnected until, you know, there's a one in place for the neighbor. That's what O&R is telling us. They're not going to cut off electric service to that property owner.
so just for the board, we may want that as a condition of approval. There'll be no interruption of electrical service to the neighboring property. I'm sure O&R doesn't want that either, but
Yeah.
we have our own responsibilities. That's it.
Chairman?
Okay, a couple. I think, to help out with that, I think that Hilly actually leases some of that space in the other building,
Mm-hmm.
and the neighbors. So I suspect Hilly has
That's
a
correct.
vested interest in that.
We're gonna kick them out.
And anyhow, I think we do have a vested interest in that. I did make a comment to the applicants, consultants, whatever. I did see another vehicle unloading again on the street, and I know they're gonna address that again. And the third thing really is about the sidewalk, bikeway. I know that the DOT is still interested in keeping complete streets. I did have a little bit of conversation with them. I think it would be very helpful if we had a better, more in-depth conversation with them about that. And they want to do that during the day. They did not volunteer to do anything at night with us. Okay, thank you.
Marty?
I don't have anything further.
Seamus?
I have no comments.
Joanne? Okay. Sean, go back to you.
So I think at this time, Mr. Chairman, you can open the public hearing to see if there's any comments.
Could I have a motion then to open the public hearing for Hilly Ford?
So moved.
Phil, second by?
Yes, second it.
Seamus, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay. Do we have anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this application? If you do, we would ask that you provide us your name and address and then your comments and concerns. Going once, going twice. Other comments from the board? Last? Nope. In that case, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll place a motion.
Diana, second by.
I'll second it.
Seamus, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay. Okay, so the next thing would be the neg deck.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. So your attorney prepared a negative declaration and circulated that ahead of your meeting. If you have any modifications to it, I can relay those back to Kelly.
Anyone on the board, any comments, revisions, or changes that need to be made?
No.
Now, can I have a motion to approve the neg deck as prepared?
I'm not in motion. We'll have that.
Neil, second by
I'll second.
Marty, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
So, Mr. Chairman, the applicant's heading back to the ZBA. I don't know if they are on for the May 7th or can get on that agenda. If they are on that for the agenda, so what I would recommend if the board's interested is authorizing Kelly to prepare a draft resolution, and then the applicant will be back on your next meeting in May, presuming everything goes smoothly with the ZBA.
That would be fine. We could have Kelly do that. Adding in that comment that Phil mentioned as far as the utility switchover. Could I have a motion to authorize council to prepare a resolution of conditional approval for this application?
I'll make it.
Neil, second by?
Me.
Diana, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay. That is all we can do for you tonight.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Is that right? Okay. We got a few recusals. Next item on the agenda is Goshen Hospitality LLC, 10-1-56.2 and 56.4. We have an application for a site plan and special permit for hotel and restaurant complex. 63.3 plus or minus acres is the total holdings along Cheechunk, 6.5 Station Road in the CO district, or the AQ6 Scenic Road, floodplain, ponding, street corridor, and reservoir overlay districts. And we're here tonight to hopefully finalize the finding statement under secret.
I'm going to recuse myself.
Two recusals for the record, Seamus and Neil.
You know, you'll,
Has everybody had an opportunity to look over the latest revision of the finding statement? Do we have any comments or further revisions?
I have a couple of comments, corrections, actually.
Sean, are you taking minutes on this, or who's doing
I
that?
will, but if, I just asked that I'm working from a hard copy, so you can give me the page number and give me a
Yes,
second.
I'm
just
gonna
to
do that.
locate Where you
Yeah.
are.
Okay, on page 4, now, we went from 4 stories to 3 stories at the last.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. So on page 4, first paragraph, it talks about,
Four-story hotels.
it talks about a 4-story hotel, it should be a 3-story hotel. In the third paragraph on page 4, it also does the same. Talks about 4 stories rather than 3. And on page...
While you're still on that page, I have
Yes. go
one
ahead.
item there. On the first paragraph, the paragraph that starts with the applicant is seeking site plan approval.
Yes.
A little further down in that paragraph, it says, in the opinion of the Orange County Economic Development Director, the need for additional hotel units was demonstrated, significant project, it's missing a few words, it should say demonstrated given that significant projects.
Got it.
Okay, back to you, Phil.
Okay. Page 18. Just tell me when you're ready.
Are there any other comments before 18?
On the 4th paragraph on that page, we have the, or at least beginning on the 4th, in the 4th paragraph, we have heights of building. And building number 1 is 50, building number 2 is 50, building number 3 is 55. Those all should be lowered to what their actual heights are going to be.
Scaled back for the 3 stories.
Yes.
Okay.
And the same comment would apply on the same page to paragraph 5. You just need to adjust the heights of the building.
If I can, I think what Kelly did is she made a general reference to the alternative plan that kind of overrides, at which the alternative plan is 3 stories, 35 feet. And showing this is kind of in line with my comment, because I repeated Mr. Dropkin's comment, we kind of need clarification, a little bit of
Yeah,
clarification.
listing it as an alternative
Right.
probably would add a little bit of confusion as far as what the actual
Mhm.
alternative was that was selected for the design.
Right, and that's what Kelly had concluded language, that the board had preferred the alternative plan, zoning compliant plan. So I think instead of going through and changing each one, I think she put those paragraphs.
Do you know what page that was on that?
So the first one she has on page 4. It says the applicant provided an alternative plan that complies with the zoning code, specifically in terms of building height. So I think she did that instead of going through, I think you can,
Well, it says that you offered it up, it doesn't say that that's the alternative that we selected.
right, well, this is just the findings, this is just the introduction.
Okay,
And
yeah,
then on other pages, she says the planning board has preferred the alternative plan, the zoning compliant alternative plan. So I think what she did is she just put those paragraphs in after those points. I think you could probably do it either way. It's up to the board's preference, but I think that's what her thinking was.
Mr. Chairman, for an example of what Mr. First is discussing, if you look on page 9, mitigation, page 12, talks about the alternative plan. I think this language is repeated throughout the finding statement in several sections.
Yeah, there's several areas where wherever there is a distinction between 3 and 4 stories, she makes it, at the very end, she says, the planning board decided to go with 3 stories.
Well, why don't we, wait, if I may, why don't we leave it up to Kelly to either clarify the heights specifically or...
Right, I mean, my only concern is like before, we were saying specifically what the heights were. If we say 3 stories, is a story 10 feet, is it 12 feet?
Right, that could create some confusion.
Right, so I would say 3 stories less than 35 feet.
Something like that, just
Yeah.
basically, you know, 'cause that is the
That's
zoning
actually one of the
compliant.
comments I had to Kelly. I didn't know she was out today. I just wanted to clarify that it's 3 stories, you know, no more than
Not
3
to exceed.
stories, no more than 35 feet. That's what the code,
Right, then it would be zoning
that's what
compliant.
the zone permits. So I wanted to actually put that language in there so we were all clear what we were talking about and we're all on the same page.
Hmm.
Is that okay with you, Phil?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
And that's it for me.
okay. Do we have other comments throughout the document for Phil?
I do
Without
not.
going page by page?
No, I agreed with Phil.
Anything, Jeremy,
No, my comment from last time was
and addressed?
yeah.
Okay. So Sean, it looks like those are the only concerns and revisions.
You got anything else?
No, I think we kind of covered my comments that I told you before the meeting, consistent with Mr. Dropkins.
So a motion,
Yes.
a motion to adopt the finding statement as revised this evening.
I'll place a motion.
Diana, second by
I'll second it.
Phil, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
You got it.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
I'm not sure what happens here, you might want to hold this one over to the end in case they're running late or something.
Okay.
We can call it and just say.
Next item on the agenda is 2639 17M Building, 920 Associates LLC. Do we have the applicant or the consultant here for that application at this time? We'll defer that till later in the meeting. We'll move on to Peaceful Pause, Atlantic Fiber Optics Corporation, 18-2-10. Application for amended site plan for expansion of the service business on 2.002 plus or minus acres on Quarry Road, County Route 68 in HC District, AQ3 Scenic Road Corridor overlays. We have revised plans, and we have a Part 2 EAF to consider this evening.
Shall I start?
You could introduce yourself for the
Yes.
record, please?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Brady with Engineering and Surveying Properties. I'm representing the applicant, Pet Crematory Service and Memorial Company. We are here tonight with the application for amended site plan for an expansion of a service business at 9 Quarry Road, Goshen, New York. The building expansion is 20 by 23, which is 460 square feet. The proposed expansion is within the code setback. Inside the expansion will be a crematory system for large-scale animals such as horses.
When you say within the setback, you mean outside the setback?
Yeah, within.
We're not infringing on the setback?
Yes, we're not,
Okay.
sorry. We originally proposed to have the system under a pavilion on the western side of this property, but after further review, it made more sense to do the building expansion as we eliminated the need for a variance. That's all.
Just a question on the drawing itself.
Yes.
The expansion is that smaller portion on the left-hand side, on the lower detail.
Yeah, this is what it will look like.
So it's showing there that it extends up to the ridge line of the existing building.
Correct.
But we're not showing it that way on the drawing above, on the plan itself. It's only, seems to, unless it's covering part of that proposed concrete slab, it's only covering, it looks like it's only covering a third of the building as opposed to half the building. Is that just an oversight?
Yeah.
So that quite here, it's not. Okay. Sean, we'll start with you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem, Mr. Chairman. I didn't actually notice that, but I would say that it's a 20 by 23 building, and I think the existing building was 60 by 60. So I would expect it to cover a third.
So it's represented correctly on the site plan?
I believe it may be, yeah. Anyway, I'll move on. So this was last before you during your February 15th meeting. At that time, you declared your intent to be lead agency and you determined this to be known to that action. The applicant has submitted revised plans. They respond to a number of my comments. Did issue a revised report. You received a copy of it. I didn't really have anything that really required a lot of discussion this evening unless the board had any questions.
I have two questions on your review. First one, did we hear anything from the emergency services?
I have not seen anything.
Nothing.
Was there anything received?
But it was forwarded to them?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other question I had, in the beginning, you said that a public hearing was at our discretion.
Yes.
But then on the last page, it says it's within an agricultural district and requires a public hearing. I'm a little confused.
No, that's a typo on the last page. What I was saying was that if you have a public hearing, you have to notify under the agricultural.
So if we don't have a public hearing, then it just goes to the county and,
Correct.
okay.
Right, you still
So we
need
still,
those
we don't have to have a public hearing.
Yeah, those are that's correct, those are notifications.
Okay. Other comments?
I'm good.
Phil, John?
Can you remind us, in that the stack is now closer to the road and possibly visible from the road, can you remind us what the emissions from the stack look like?
Actually, this unit exceeds everything that's required by the DEC. It burns cleaner. It burns cleaner than your own car.
Can you remind us what the emissions look like?
Well, I'll tell you this, right now, in the unit that I have, when I run it, I probably did, and April was a very big month for me, I probably did 60, 70 dogs, cats. And I did a few huge dogs, Kangles, and which are like 185 pounds. And I did a couple of King Corsos, 110, 120 pound dogs. And when that machine runs, you don't smell nothing, you don't see nothing.
Okay.
It's invisible.
Okay.
And you know what's weird? Even when it's cold out, like it'd be 6 degrees out, you think you'd see something, but you don't.
Got it. All right. So we wouldn't expect to see like particulate emissions coming out of the stack?
No, there are none. And the stack only comes 3 feet out the top of the roof.
Yeah, that's where there's a little confusion.
Yeah.
Because on the drawing, it's saying 2 feet minimum above the peak line, the ridge line. The response from the engineers said that the manufacturer recommends the stack be 1.5 feet above the ridge line.
You know what?
What do we actually,
Where my stack is now, I'm 3 feet above where it is, where it comes out. You know?
above the slope of the roof itself?
I don't think it's above the slope of the roof. It's just 3 feet out of the slant of the roof on the higher side.
Right,
Yeah,
3 feet.
yeah. So, you know, you're not gonna even, you're not gonna really see the stack.
No, I'm thinking more just the consistency of everything. You know, whatever we're gonna put on the plans should be what's gonna be,
We'll fix the
constructed.
plan
Okay.
before conditional final approval.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just 2 matters on that. The way I had read it and reconciled it with the plan was, I had thought that the applicant was providing more than the manufacturer's minimum. Yeah, the manufacturer requires 1.5 foot. The applicant's gonna provide 2 feet. I didn't know if they were doing that really because they were next to their existing building, or if there was a real reason for that.
Right.
Also, in response to your question, I did look up the state, New York State DEC permits. The applicant has been issued an airscape facility permit. That was issued in 2019, and there is currently a 2023 modification that DEC says is incomplete. So I don't know if the modification was submitted maybe in advance of this application, or if there are any changes going on. But right now, the DEC database says we have an incomplete application for modification to the airport.
I think the air quality permit is waiting on a negative.
I renewed the air quality
Declaration.
permit. I mean, I paid it, and it's effective.
I'm not saying it's not effective. What they said is you received a permit in 2019.
Yeah,
And
but
they
I don't
received-
think they require the, there was a thing where they want it, but it's not required into 2025.
Okay. It says you made a modification application in 2023. I don't have any other.
I didn't make a modification.
Well, maybe you want to reconcile that.
Oh, you know what? It's more for this. We sent them notice that we were doing this, okay? And then they say we had to come back to the planning board, and then we needed the planning board approval, and then you fill out that secret form.
Yeah, they don't require your approval, they require a negative declaration, so that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's clear up.
Excellent.
My only concern is where you're gonna unload the carcasses, and I would hope that it's not seen from the road.
Well, we have those huge pine trees, you can't see in there, you know, and, well, I'm gonna, have a trailer, one of those, like 12 feet long, size of 3 feet high, and we'll pick up the horses in that, and then we'll bring them to the yard, and then we'll have a forklift, we'll unload them, and then we'll just bring them into the building and lower them into the machine.
And there is an existing wooden fence on the frontage.
Did you get your electric vehicles?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
I'm not gonna do anything until I get the approval.
Okay, fair enough. Morty,
No further questions.
James?
No, sir.
Diane?
No further questions.
Lee, just a couple.
Phil?
So there's no putrefaction from the carcasses? There's no odor arising?
Oh, no, let me tell you something, when the machines burn, when they go,
Yeah, but how long are they outside before they're?
oh, no. No, if we will not do that, and I do not do that. I do not get backed up, right? If I can't take it and do it right there, then actually you have to go someplace else. I don't,
Like Connecticut?
I don't, yeah, like Connecticut, yeah, or Eastern Long Island. I don't wanna have it back up, and I don't want to wind up having odors and smells and stuff like that. And I have dogs on my property, I don't want them, you know, getting involved in that.
Okay, thank you. I just want to clarify, Sue. You're telling us that there's no particulate matter in the exhaust? coming out?
That's correct, yeah, there's a secondary burner, and nothing comes out. I mean, I'd be honest, if I do a big dog and you wanna come down and watch, you're welcome to.
Thank you.
That was a pretty big.
If you read my reviews on my website, My Pet, My Friend, they're all good.
The owner gets the ashes back again at the end.
Yeah, everything's done privately, and I have urns too, I import urns from India, and if they want an urn, and I also do clay paw prints,
Oh, okay.
yeah, Well, you know what, people like them done in ink, but you can't do them in ink. It doesn't work, but when you do it in clay, and we bake it in the oven,
In person.
give it to them, it's perfect.
Anything else, Bill?
No, no,
Any other comments from the board?
no.
Sean?
Couple items, Mr. Chairman. The first one is Kelly circulated a draft Part 2 EAF. I don't know if the board's had a chance to review that or has any questions on that. It was a short form. Very different than what you used to look at. There was one small impact, and that was potential erosion, flooding, or drainage problems. And that was really just associated with the soil disturbances coming on the site, but it is less than 1 acre. It will not require coverage into the
Just one other thing I'd like to get on the record. Frank, have you had any complaints about odors or anything down there?
No, no,
Thank you.
none at all.
Comments on the Part 2?
I'm okay.
No comments on the Part 2?
So, Mr. Chairman, so we need a motion to adopt the Part 2 and authorize the negative debt.
I'll place motion.
Motion by Diana, second by
I'll second.
Marty. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? And that would be for adopting the Part 2, as well as authorizing council to prepare a conditional resolution.
Neg deck.
Neg deck, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Neg deck. My mistake.
Next item, Mr. Chairman, would be whether the board wants to conduct a public hearing on this application.
Diana?
No.
James?
No.
I think there's not enough residential down there, so I say no.
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 Okay, could I have a motion then to waive the requirement for a public hearing?
I'll place motion.
Diana, second by
I'll second.
Seamus, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Last thing, Mr.
Can we-
Chairman, is authorize.
can you authorize a
council to
resolution?
prepare a resolution. That's correct.
Okay. Could I have a motion then to authorize council to prepare a conditional resolution of approval for this application?
I'll make it.
Neil, second by
I'll second.
Seamus, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay. Kelly's got her work ahead of her.
Night off tonight, so.
Make up for it. Okay. Well, that's all we can do for you tonight, so
Thank you very much.
have a good
Thank you,
evening.
gentlemen.
Yes.
Ladies.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's what you meant? Yeah. That was the quickest.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda is 31 Creamery Circle, 13-3-7. We have an application for a site plan for a residential pool and deck on 1.541 plus or minus acres on Creamery Circle in RU District, AQ3 Scenic Road Corridor overlays. We're here this evening for an initial presentation and to commence the seeker process.
Hi,
If you
Steve
introduce
White.
yourself.
Steve White, 31 Creamery Circle.
Welcome, Stephen. Okay. Sean.
So, Mr. Chairman, you've received a couple of these, or you've reviewed a couple of these within the last year. The applicant proposes a pool and deck. It's in the scenic road corridor overlay. It's over 500 square feet, so it requires site plan approval. The building department forwarded to you, and so the applicant's here this evening for site plan approval for a pool and deck.
The proposed pool, is that an in-ground pool or an above-ground
It's
pool?
above ground.
Above ground. So how tall is the deck around it? Is it 4 feet, or are we stepping up to the pool?
It's actually
Or it's part of the pool? in the
part of
ground?
the pool. Well, it's gonna be, it's actually stepping down off the original deck right now, 2 steps down, 14 inches to the height of the pool, which is 52 inches high. So one side, it's graded down a little bit lower, so it's gonna be a little bit higher on one side than the other.
Are we, I don't want to get into your jurisdiction, Frank, but on the side wall of the pool, is it 4 feet or more above finished grade?
Yeah,
So there's no fencing going around the pool?
no,
There's no fencing?
no.
Doesn't need to be.
No?
Well, it's not really needed.
As long as you have 4
You
feet.
gotta
On
enclose a
the
gate or a
wall
ladder.
of the pool itself?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And the shed was okay where it was, Sean?
You were not proposing the shed at this time,
No.
correct? Okay, we just want to make sure that any improvement
Yeah.
is very specific.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have any,
I issued a report, but that was really just to kind of tune the board into why this is before you and the particulars of what's on the plans and submissions.
do we have comments from the board?
Just a question, I think I know the answer, but your backyard goes up or down?
Goes up, you can't see it from the road at all.
So you can't say that?
You can't. I have the old school that's right behind my property.
Right.
So you see that before you see anything in my property anyway, so it's like,
You sit lower.
I sit higher than that, but I have all the trees and everything that you can't see. All you can see is the roof of my house from the road.
Thank you.
I looked on the way over here.
That's all you can see.
It's not the way.
So the matter is before us because it's in a...
Just because it's in the scenic
overlay.
corridor. Yes. Okay. So if we have no comments or concerns, Sean?
Type 2 seeker action. I can't recall, I think Kelly does not usually have the board take any motion in that regard. Next question for the board is whether you wish to schedule a public hearing on this matter.
Phil?
No.
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 Nope. No, sir.
Unanimously, no.
Okay.
I have a question.
We do have a question, okay?
Being that you have the old schoolhouse behind you, and I know you have to put a fence around the pool,
No, I don't need
You
a
don't.
fence because it's higher than 48
you don't need, so how are you gonna protect the pool from
Just from the deck
anybody
side.
going on the old school property and sneaking between the trees? People do that. You have the old school.
Right, but I mean, what's different whether there's a pool there or not? I'm not sure.
Well, I'm
what
just
you're asking.
saying, because animals can fall in the pool, people can fall in the pool. If you don't have a fence around the pool, what's to protect it from sneaking off the back? I'm just asking.
But you never would have a fence
I
around the pool.
have a farm, I know how people come in all the time. So I was just wondering, if somebody sneaks in, like the first weekend in August, the
And
old
wants to go for a
schoolhouse
swim?
is open. So if the old schoolhouse is open and anybody wants to sneak over the hill and see what's there and, oh, there's a pool or whatever, I'm just wondering if you needed a fence or anything done.
I have an electric dog fence there. If you want though, I can, they make the, on the one side, they make the fences that go up to the railing of the above ground pool. I can put those on if you guys want me to.
Yeah, just talking about the pool barrier requirements, that's what we're talking about here. So if there's any section that's less than 48 inches in height,
Yeah,
we need a pool barrier. It's
okay.
gotta be 48 inches in height. And with what we're talking about, you got the pool which is 52 inches
Mhm.
with a deck around it.
Yeah,
You're gonna, if there's steps coming off the deck, there'll need to be a gate there, self-closing latching gate.
mhm.
That's how we.
Yeah, I'm gonna have that. Yeah, I'm only gonna have one set of stairs, and that's gonna have and I already have an alarm on the sliding door that comes out of the house.
Yeah.
And, everything.
So, once you get past it through the planning board, I'll give all that a review before we issue the permit, make sure we're on the same page of what we expect.
Did you see the paperwork as far as the description, as far as what they were proposing for the railings and gates?
Yes, it's been a while,
You have that?
we've gone through
Okay.
this process, but yes, I'll
Okay.
review all of that before we issue a permit.
Frank, the gate on the deck,
Yes,
is that self-closing?
has to be self-closing and latching. Yes,
That's between the gate and the deck down to the pool.
yes,
Right. And the latches on the
Just
other
wanted to
side.
make
yes, there's a lot of specifics there, right? Location of the latch is critical.
Yeah, I'll just get that fence anyway, just for safety anyway. I'll put it on the side of the pool.
Yeah.
So we need motions, Chairman, for the public hearing.
Yep, we took a poll, but we didn't do the waiver, okay. I need a motion to waive public hearing on this application.
I'll make the motion.
Marty, second by?
I'll second it.
Diana, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? In that case, can I have a motion then to authorize council to prepare a resolution of conditional approval?
I'll make the motion.
Neil, second by?
I'll second it.
Well, okay, that sounded like stereo. Who said that? Marty, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? All good.
So this will be on your agenda in 2 weeks. At that time, the board will take action on the approval.
All right, so the permit will probably take like a month or so?
Well, as soon as we get this done, which is what, 2 weeks roughly?
Yes.
2.5 weeks to get the permit.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Just in time for the swim.
Yeah, perfect, yeah, so don't worry, the kids are
Steve, I'll
bothering me.
email, Steve, I'll email you, okay?
All right, thanks, Grace.
Take care.
Have a good night, guys. Have a good night, have a good night.
Regeneration.
Okay, next item on the agenda, again, is 2639 17M Building, 920 Associates LLC, 12-1-54, application for a site plan for a service business on .65 plus or minus acres along New York State Route 17M in the HC District with an AQ6 overlay. And we have a resolution of conditional approval before us to consider.
So, Mr. Chairman, I understand from Grace that the applicant made a submission today, so there may be some confusion on the part. We weren't looking for anything to be submitted. This was listed for a draft resolution. So what I would recommend, the applicant isn't here, what you may want to do is go through the resolution, see if there's any comments. I will take notes and pass them to Kelly, and then we'll list it for your next agenda, hopefully just to get through it when the applicant's present.
Okay.
I would suggest one last thing. I would suggest that the resolution be on the plan that you've had since they were
Based on
before you, not
set that we looked at.
submitted today. If they've submitted plans today that address comments in the past, then they're ahead of the game.
So if we leave the dates on, that's in the resolution for the date of last revision,
That would be my
that would be appropriate.
Yes.
I have one comment. I just think it should, somewhere in there, it should specify the square footage of the proposed building,
Okay.
the 2320. I didn't see anything in here actually showing the size of the building.
Okay.
Phil,
I'm good.
Chairman,
No, thank you.
Neil,
I just had one question. I thought in the past there was a section of the code that requires 2 lots that were less than compliant with the current code. If they're owned together by the same owner, they had to be merged.
I believe we discussed this during the applicant's initial appearance and there was no requirement.
Okay, good.
If you find a requirement that we've overlooked, send Kelly and I an email.
Yep, good.
good?
That's it.
I think we can.
Marty,
No further questions.
Seamus?
No comments.
Oh, yeah,
I'm sorry.
okay.
Okay, so we'll list this for you.
So listed for the meeting in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and he's still not here. Okay.
Hopefully that submission can change the location or something. That peaceful pause.
Yeah. Hopefully not. Not this stage of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. So, before we pass this on to Sean, does anyone on the board have anything to add? If not, Sean, if you can provide us with the schedule for our next meeting.
Sure, so at your May 16th meeting, you have peaceful pause, which the application just heard for a resolution. 17M Flex, they're coming in for a Part 3 EAF. Owens Road Solar, you may recall that they had requested you to modify a condition relative to the timing of wetland mitigation. They are returning to ask you that question again with some additional information.
Which one is it, John?
Owens Road Solar.
Okay.
Healy Ford dealership, draft resolution. And 31 Creamery, the pool that just heard, draft resolution.
Okay.
A lot of draft resolutions.
A lot of draft resolutions. 17 Flex is a Part 3. Peaceful Pause Resolution, Owens Road Solar for the wetlands mitigation, and Healy for a draft resolution.
Correct.
And that should do it.
I have one other item, it's just informational. We did have a staff meeting today with Liberty Solar. That's one off of Milburn.
Yep.
The last time they were before you, I think was in the middle of March, you had asked for the arrays to be flagged on the Milburn side. They are concluding that, and they will let us know when that's completely finished and ready for you to review.
Very good.
What was the first one you mentioned?
Peaceful pause?
Any concerns from the board? Not to have a motion then to close the meeting.
I'll place a motion.
Diana, second by?
I'll second.
Marty, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Have a good night.